Tony Kost will tell you he is fortunate to be alive, let alone the lead bartender at Immigrant Son Brewery in Lakewood.
Now dedicated to living a life of sobriety, he's also the co-chair of the Cleveland chapter of Ben's Friends.
Yeah, it's a support group specifically designed to help those struggling with substance abuse while working in the hospitality industry. Dave Chudowsky has his story.
I don't see it, but people tend to gravitate towards me behind the bar.
And for decades, many of those people that knew him may not have known the nightmare he was living.
As a guy that had a million friends for a long time, I felt very, very alone.
Growing up in Ohio City, Tony Kost dove into a world of heavy drugs headfirst in high school that led to drinking socially in his late teens and 20s, all while climbing the ranks at iconic Cleveland restaurants like Lola, Crop, and Momocho. But a once manageable habit became a necessity.
The drinking becomes kind of second nature. You know, it becomes a part of what you do. And before you know it, maybe like myself, you're 33 years old and you have no money, you're jumping from job to job, and you don't really have a whole lot to show yourself as sick. That's a sad thing. You know, my path took me into being a person that I was pretty ashamed of.
And 7 years ago, he hit his rock bottom.
I wasn't drinking because I liked booze anymore. I was drinking alcohol because I had to.
You needed it.
Right. If I didn't drink, I would start to shake, I would start to sweat, I would dry heave. I was sick, visibly, physically sick.
After a day of heavy partying while on the job, on September 5th, 2016, he woke up fearing for his life and checked himself into the hospital.
I remember sitting there trying to fill this thing out, and I couldn't even remember what day it was. I just started crying. I just started crying because that was the first time I think I had actually had a realization of how bad my life had gotten.
After 5 days of detox, Tony decided to commit to his sobriety, but did not follow a traditional path of recovery.
AA changes lives, it saved lives, countless numbers of lives. But it wasn't something that I wanted to do for whatever reason. I wanted to find a strength in myself. I wanted to be able to fortify, you know, my defenses against my desire to drink on my own.
His challenge was not just to stay sober, but to be able to continue to work behind the bar in an industry he's always known and loved.
I was really good at this line of work, you know, even as a young maniac, alcoholic, you know, party animal, I still accomplished a lot, you know, and I had earned the respect of a lot of people, and I didn't want to lose that.
And now, Tony is offering that kind of support to others walking a similar path as co-chair of the Cleveland chapter of Ben's Friends, a nationwide community of hospitality workers struggling with substance abuse and addiction.
The commonality is people in food and beverage who are immersed in, you know, an industry filled with, you know, drugs, alcohol, and stress. I can't even begin to tell you how connected I felt to the men and women in those meetings from the moment I started going to them. Because I felt like they understood me. Once I got involved with Ben's Friends, my sobriety kind of got even more substantial. It got to a place where I wanted to do more with it.
According to a recent survey from American Addiction Centers, 17% of hospitality employees have a substance use disorder, the highest rate of any industry.
If you're out there struggling, you know, if you're able to sit there and acknowledge that you have a problem, then you most likely do. And it's probably worse than you actually realize. I would say that it's hard to understand how much support is actually out there.
What does it mean to you to be a leader in this space?
It's something that humbles me to my core. I never, ever envisioned that I would make a mark on the world at all, let alone making a mark on the world, even in the small little circle that I do it now, to help people that are struggling. And the fact that anybody cares what I have to say means the world to me.
The Cleveland chapter of Ben's Friends meets every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Porco Lounge and Tiki Bar on West 25th Street. And we have more information and resources on WKYC.com.